Well, hello, seventh grade. Today, our lesson will be about theme. Theme is a life lesson that readers learn from the text. So essentially, you as a reader search for the meaning while reading. And so today, the focus of our lesson is going to be readers determine theme by noticing life lessons the author tells us in the text. For example, authors will explicitly state the theme in a text. That makes your life as a reader much easier because the theme is actually stated in the text. There's no inferring required because the author tells you the theme. As a reader, your job is to pay attention to the character, the obstacles the character has to overcome in order to get a feeling for what the theme might be. So then when you do stumble upon it while reading, you're like, oh, yep, there it is. There's the theme in the text. So today, readers determine theme by noticing life lessons the author tells us in the text. Theme is a life lesson. It's the meaning, moral, or message about life or human nature that is communicated by a literary work. In other words, theme is what the story teaches to readers. Theme is a life lesson the reader can learn about life in general. And then this life lesson can be applied to your life. It can be applied to other books that you read. When identifying themes, themes can be explicit or clearly stated, and that's the focus of our lesson today, or themes are implied, and we will discuss implied themes tomorrow. I do have to remind you that themes are bigger than the story. So you do have the theme, which is the small that exists in the small world of a story, but it can be applied to the big world. It can be applied to the real world. It can be applied to other books that you do read. So theme is bigger than just one book. Our focus today is going to be identifying a theme that is explicitly stated in the text. And I'm going to model for you first by reading a short story about a young lady named Kelly who has a job in a movie theater that she doesn't like. I'm going to read the story first, and as I read, my purpose for reading is to think about, what might be the life lesson the reader can learn here, and does the author actually explicitly state the life lesson? Kelly had a job at the movie theater, but it didn't pay very much, and she was sick of working there. Nonetheless, the work was steady, and she needed all of the money she could get. To her delight, Kelly got an interview at a big office downtown for a job that paid much more. The interview went very well, and the bosses all but offered her a position. They said that she would fit the role well, and they promised that they would call her back within 2 weeks. Kelly couldn't wait to quit her job at the movie theater. As soon as she got back, she put in her 2-week notice. She spent the next 2 weeks bragging to her coworkers about her new high-paying job in the big city. Yet 2 weeks passed and she received no phone call. She started to realize nothing is a sure thing before it happens. So she decided to follow up on her interview and learned that the bosses had chosen a different candidate. Kelly was crushed. So my purpose for reading was to think about what life lesson might the reader learn here based on Kelly's obstacles? Well, she hates her job, so what does she do? She applies for a new one. But she's not given the job at the interview. She's pretty confident that she will receive the job, but she's not given the job. So she goes back to her movie theater job and just brags and brags and brags about this new job she has. Unfortunately, she doesn't get the job. But she kind of burned her bridge because now she's got a job she quit her job at the movie theater and she didn't get a new job. So she kind of burned her bridge. What kind of life lesson can I learn from that? Let me think. There is that idea of burning a bridge. So the author probably explicitly stated something along that lines in the text as I browse the text here. I'm reading, yet 2 weeks passed and she received no phone call. She started to realize nothing is a sure thing before it happens. Wait a second. The word realize is a very powerful word. Usually, when the character realizes something, they are stumbling upon some wise advice. She started to realize that nothing is a sure thing before it happens. That sounds like wise advice. That sounds like a life lesson. She definitely didn't, it wasn't a sure thing, her job. And she didn't realize it until after she'd bragged. So she started to realize nothing is a sure thing before it happens. I would go with that as the theme. So right where my cursor is, she started to realize nothing is a sure thing before it happens. Could that exist in other books? Could that exist in real life? It could exist in real life. My own personal example is with running. I could spend my days bragging about how I'm going to get my personal record running a half marathon or running a 5K. I'm going to get my personal record and it's going to happen. And let's have a celebration now because in 2 weeks I'm running a 5K and I'm going to get my personal record. And then I run my 5K and discover, wait, I didn't get it. I didn't get my personal record. So nothing is a sure thing before it happens. It's not a sure thing that I'm going to get my personal record on a 5K, just like it wasn't a sure thing that she was going to get that other job until she got the phone call. So nothing is a sure thing before it happens. Now I have to prove it with evidence from the story. Kelly conducts herself at her old job as though she had been hired at the new job. She should have waited until she received the job offer before she quit her old job. Furthermore, when she quit her old job, she should have done so in a respectful way without bragging to her coworkers. Pretty much, nothing is a sure thing before it happens. Kelly was counting on getting that job offer and she didn't. And then everything fell apart. So, themes. We have to think about themes. They're about the bigger picture. Not, Kelly should wait to get a job. No, that's not big picture. That's simply focused on the small world of the story about Kelly. Not, bragging can be dangerous. Well, not always. And that simply just focuses on the small world of the story. So, when you think about theme, think bigger. Find the real world advice that applies to many situations. In Kelly's situation, it was, don't anticipate that you're going to receive something until you actually do. So now it's your turn to determine theme by noticing life lessons the author tells us in the text. You are going to reread the All-American Slurp, specifically reread page 8 of the text. And while you're rereading, keep in mind the obstacles that Kyd Lynn had to overcome. She really wanted to fit in the American culture, and she struggled. Day in and day out, she struggled. First, it was the celery. Then it was she only wore dresses when all the other girls got to wear jeans. So what would be the life lesson one could learn from this text? When you find it on page 8, identify and underline the theme Lindsay Namioka explicitly stated in the text. Then you're going to move to the classroom page and open in the first item in the stream will be about theme and All-American Slurp. You will open up the document titled Theme, All-American Slurp, and you will explain. First, you'll type the theme, and then you'll explain why the theme applies to the short story, The All-American Slurp. So now it's your turn to practice determining theme by noticing life lessons the author tells us in the text